Hi, today's recording is going to be a little bit different. For Unit 7, that's where we're at. We're going to click on Unit 7. We don't have, the first two lessons don't have a checkup, so we're going to do the study guide. It's the only way we're going to prepare for these quizzes, and we have to do two of them today. So today being your Thursday or Friday class, whichever cohort you're in. Not cohort, whichever class period you're in. But anyway, we're going to go to the study guide, so you can pause this video. I'm going to go pretty quickly. Here's how you need to do it. You're going to have the worksheet on, I guess I didn't need to do that. You're going to have the worksheet on Google Classroom. I'm going to pull it up this way to show answers. But so I'm going to pull up the worksheet here. You're going to have it on Google Classroom. You'll make a copy for yourself, and you need to put your name in the name spot. Be a Cami, or if you're printing it, it's all good because you're handwriting the whole thing. The reason I say that is because I'm going to also post the solutions to the study guide. The study guide's up here, by the way, and I need to shrink this a little. As you go through the study guide, to get the information, the answers to it, you scroll down and then you hit next. And down here it tells you what page you're on. I'm on page 2 out of 27, so it's a lot. So I'm going to now go to the study guide, and I'm literally just going to display the answers, and I'm going to talk through some of it, but I'm actually, I'm not going to talk through all of it because you're going to have the answers. You need to fill them in. And again, I strongly recommend you kind of click back and forth from your worksheet, which is on Google Classroom, and the Apex study guide information, and you'll click next to get all of the information here. So I have the luxury of hitting show the answers. You don't because you're not in teacher mode. But I do also want to point out, if you didn't have it, let's say you were doing a study guide for extra credit, you could click print, and instead of printing it, up here it says, yeah, I'm going to print to this printer. No, I'm going to save it as a PDF. And then when you hit save, it's going to ask you, where do you want to save it? Here, I'm saving on my desktop. You probably would do better to save it in your Google Drive, but you can organize it however you want. And then you might even want to rename it. This one is 7.1 so that you know exactly which one's which. Hit save. I'm not going to do that because I don't need another one. I already have it. But then once you have that, you can pull it up from your Google Drive, or I guess from anywhere, and open it as a Cami assignment and work on it that way electronically. I'm going to click show the answers. I'm about to give you all the answers, but I'm also going to talk about some of this as we go. And then the rest of it, I'm going to have you kind of finish up on your own. Again, going back and forth from Apex, clicking through the pages, getting the information. Here we go. It says this topic is polyhedrons. What is a polyhedron? It's basically a three-dimensional figure. Well, I just gave it away. It's a three-dimensional solid. So I'm holding one up here in the corner of your screen. Any box is a three-dimensional figure, right? And this is a polyhedron, and you're going to find out why in just a minute. I was looking all over my house for a few other examples, but all I have is rectangular polyhedrons, so rectangular-based prisms, but we'll get to that. They are bound polygons called faces. I'm sorry. The faces are the sides, like that you can put your hand on. You might want to call them sides, but they're really called faces. It's enclosed. Encloses a single region of space. So you could fill up, with air, with water, with something. So it's three-dimensional. To me, that's like the most important. But those terms might come up in Apex quiz. Making mental images and organizing information. Look, it says page 3 here, and I know I'm going to display these answers for you, but you can always go over here. Oh, I have to get to page 3 to get this answer, to actually find it on here. So here it says every polyhedron is made up of the following elements: faces, edges, and vertices. Notice these elements are the familiar points, segments, and polygons of a plane. Okay, that's fine. Faces, edges, and vertices. The faces we already talked about. That's this like purple zone here, the purple zone here. This top part is bluish. The edges are the lines that kind of connect all of the faces. And the vertices are the corners, you could say. Vertices are the corners. So let's go back to the worksheet and see if I got that right. A vertex is a point. The edge is a line segment that connects the faces, and the face is a polygon. In this case, like my Kleenex box, these are rectangular faces. They'll mostly have rectangular faces. Again, I'm jumping ahead. Let me just wait till I get to it. Here we go. And then here it says to label it. So we have a few vertices. Those are the points on the, I want to say the, what would I say a minute ago? Corners. I was saying corners, but they're really called the vertices, points. And then the faces are the flat parts, and then the lines, the edges are the line segments that attach the faces. Number 4, I can get these answers on page 5 or page 20. So again, I can click back and forth until I get where I need to be. Oops, that was page 5. So let's see what it says. How are oblique and right polyhedrons different? So I could go to that page and I see over here I have oblique prism and here I have a right prism. If I was just trying to like describe it, I'd say this one's straight up, this one's slanted, right? But let's see what the real answer. We could read it all, and I'm going somewhat quickly because my recording can only be so long. I have to be kind of quick. You could read through this. You might have to. The definition here they're looking for is oblique polyhedrons are slanted. They're like tilted, like Leaning Tower of Pisa, although that's not a polyhedron. Never mind. We'll get to it later. A right polyhedron is upright or straight up and down. Page 5. They must address it again on page 20. Fill in the blanks. Define prism and its parts. Again, I know I'm going fast. You can always pause and rewind. A prism is a polyhedron, or they would accept the word solid. It is a solid or a polyhedron, made up of 2 parallel congruent polygons and all of the points between them. And then here are some of their parts. There are 2 bases. The bases, we often want to say the top and the bottom. That's absolutely not the case. The bases are the 2 parallel congruent figures. In this case, they're 2 triangular bases, right? In this case, the bases are rectangles, like my Kleenex box. I have several of these in my classroom I could hold up for you, but I'm not in my classroom. The lateral faces, they're all the rectangles that are not the bases. So this like straight up and down rectangle here, this one here on kind of on the right, and then there's one in the back, because think of it as 3-dimensional. There's one in the back. They're all 3 rectangles. They connect the 2 bases. Those are the lateral faces. Here we have 4 of them, right? Because the bases are rectangles with 4 sides, which means I'm going to have 4 up and down I shouldn't say up and down because it could be on its side. Polygons that connect the bases. The altitude is a line segment whose length is the height of the prism. There was a pretty good diagram here. Here we've got an oblique prism. It's slanted, right? But the altitude is the height of it. I'm turning my phone off. I'm worried it's going to ring. The altitude is the height. The height is defined as perpendicular to the base. So sometimes the height is not even within the figure itself. It's outside of the figure, but the altitude is the height. So in a right prism, it's going to be just straight up and down. It could be this lateral edge right here, but these lateral edges here are not the altitude when it's oblique. So I'm off on a little bit of a tangent, trying to be quick here. I zipped through that. I'll let you fill in the blanks. You're going to have included in the assignment, you're going to have all of the answers, but you've got to put the answers into your work. You can't turn in my work with your name at the top. That's how I know it was yours, not mine. Moving on. A line segment. This is a little dull. Line segment. There are 2 points and all of the points between them. A line segment is really just a series of points, like one right on top of the other, forming a line. A prism is 2 bases and all of the points in between them. And again, it's like so many more points to fill in all of those faces. So it's 2 bases versus 2 points. And then there's a fairly interesting, 7 to 9, I saw kind of a cute little manipulation tool. Here we're going to have an oblique polygon, and here are all of those billions of points connecting, and here's like maybe 100 points connecting. So line segment and prism. Here we go. I'm going so fast. I'm sorry, but you can pause and rewind. Making mental images, drawing references, 7 through 9. There's manipulation, things like we just did there. You can shrink it, have some fun. Anyway, why can any two opposite faces of a rectangle prism be called the bases? Well, to be a base, they have to be congruent and they have to be parallel. But let me read this again. Why can any two opposite of a rectangular prism? Yeah. If it's a rectangular prism like my box here, my Kleenex box, the top where my hand's at and the bottom, those could be the bases because they're congruent and parallel. Where my hands are now, the sides, the left and the right, those could be the bases because they are congruent and parallel. And then the front and the back could be the bases because they're congruent and parallel. So if it's a rectangular prism, you could call any opposite sides faces, any opposite faces, the bases. Why is a cube a special kind of rectangular prism? Well, they're all congruent, right? This one's not quite a cube because this is longer than this. I guess wider, longer, I don't know how we want to say. But if they were all exactly congruent, then it would be a cube, somewhat unique. I think I'm going to end my video soon. And again, you're going to have all the answers. You're going to need to take the time to read through, to fill in the blanks. And at times you're going to want to click and go through this. It's just, we don't have a checkup. So this is how we're going to gather the information. You can always ask me questions when we get to the virtual support class. Please ask me questions. So it's important to have this done before the virtual support class. I'm going to stop the video now because otherwise I'm just rambling on and on. I don't think it's going to be too difficult for you. It's not going to be this way the whole chapter long. But remember, we have 7.1 and 7.2 today, but there's only one video. So I've shown you how to get the information. You'll do the same thing for 7.2. After you go through 7.1, you'll click to the right, you'll get to 7.2 study guide, and you'll start it the same way. I will have posted both of the study guides for you to fill in. I know it feels like quite a bit. They're just little fill in the blank words. It won't take you very long. Okay? Have a great day. Come prepared with questions if you have them.